Call to order, Jessica Gooch.
Shelby,
Here.
Schoenberg, here, Walker,
Here.
Hitchcock.
Here. We're all here. Got a quorum. Stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any of the council members want to approve the agenda as presented?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Shelby,
Yes.
Schoenberg, yes, Walker,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Thank you. Public comment. Is there any, yes?
Hi, I'm Linda Irwin, and I'm a longtime resident of Weberville. I'm really glad that you guys have put your stuff on Facebook so that I could see it, because I wasn't able to come to the meeting 2 weeks ago. So it was really nice to be able to see what you guys had said and discussed at the time. I'd like to talk about the lack of police presence. I know that the reduction was done by the county because of lack of officers. I don't understand why he thinks that it would take 3 of our own officers to replace 1 of his. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And you was talking about surrounding areas and their police departments. I did not hear you mention Morris, and Morris is similar to our size. They have their own officer, 1 officer, for a budget of $118,000 a year. You guys reduced ours by $160,000. There's gotta be some way we can find something. There's gotta be a solution here. A resource officer, good idea. The grant would only cover training. I don't know who's supposed to pay the resource officer's salary, the school, the village. I don't know where that's coming from, but it really doesn't matter because Superintendent Smith has to go through Ingham County to get a resource officer. They don't have officers for us. They don't have resource officers either. So that's not gonna be a solution. We need to come up with something else. I don't know what to tell you. I don't have any solutions for you, but we do need more protection here. 45 minutes for an officer to answer a call, that's too long. We need to do something. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other public comment other than what's on our schedule? Everybody here? Seeing none? We're gonna close the public comment at 6:05. 6:04. Okay. Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes for the last council meeting, accounts payable, investment report, revenue and expenditure report, and the balance sheet? If so, anybody from the council?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second,
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Shelby,
Yes.
Schoenberg, yes, Walker,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Okay, we're at the police report. Deputy Chris?
Yes, sir. Good evening. Not too much of an eventful month for us, but I'll go over what I have here. As most know, this is just a synopsis of the major things that I've taken care of over the past month, as well as some of the calls. Looks like nothing significant from Powell County. But anyways, I'll just read it. On 3/2, March 2nd, responded to the high school for a verbal threats complaint. A female student threatened made a verbal threat to another student that she wanted to kill the principal. The female made 2 separate complaints to the male student, and the female was suspended and taken to Families First for mental health evaluation. Families First in any kind of situation like this, where a student would either make a threat or has some sort of mental episode of some sort, we would make them go to this Family First, and it's just a quick evaluation to make sure that they're mentally stable and that they're okay to return to school, or it's sort of a checkbox to make sure that they're doing okay, you know, and we can, as a police department, it's a good resource for the county, basically, anyone can go there, it's not just for King County. No charges being sought, the principal didn't want to seek any charges, it was more of a reporting type thing. I responded to Aldi, 3-9, I responded to Aldi, for a larceny from an automobile that occurred in the overnight hours. The reporting party, his vehicle was broken into, and his wallet was stolen out of his vehicle during his overnight shift. I located the suspect and I'm currently working with Walmart in Charlotte. They had a video and eyewitness for someone who used that, so I'm actively working on that. So we got a pretty good idea who it is. I just gotta locate him. So let's see. Oh, on the 20th, I responded to the elementary school for a child stuck in the closet. Child was, I don't remember which room it was, but the door wasn't actually locked. They thought it was locked, but it was just, ended up being stuck. It was out of the line or something like that, and they were able to get him out. So, school took measures to make sure the door doesn't get stuck again. On the 21st, I responded with Michigan State Police to help Out County with a fentanyl overdose. The victim had administered Narcan to herself and was allergic conscious. However, we did locate a unregistered pistol in the home, and that's sort of the biggest thing is dealing with guns and all that stuff is that we were able to locate this and get another gun off the street. And this guy had never registered it, lied to me about who it belonged to. You know, he said he's holding it for a friend, but whatever. But that was a pretty good case, and I'm glad I was able to help the Out County with that. We also found a bunch of fentanyl there that MSP was seeking charges on, so we came up pretty good on that. See, and then I responded to the 200 block for another threats complaint. A victim, female high school, reported receiving death threats via Snapchat from a former friend. Same subject that has been sending same set threatening type of threatening statements to victims' friends. That one, I did just learn that the guy sending the threats is now in jail on separate charges and is gonna be seeking additional charges on threats via electronic communication, and he's a good person to have in jail, let's just say that. We'll go over some policing highlights here. Aldi warehouses, I've been working a lot with them about security and whatnot, and in their parking lot, they've received a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, more this year so far than I feel like I took all of last year, which I started last April out here, but they've had some thefts in the parking lot, from people breaking into the vehicle to people, I had a Cadillac converter stolen out there. And so I talked about advanced surveillance cameras out there, and they're responsive to stuff like that. The other thing is, someone called our captain from the village and was complaining about the traffic out there. Again, I'm actively working with Aldi to try to alleviate that. One of the things that they're doing is They're working on making it a 24-hour facility, which it is now, it's just staffing it, and they think that that's gonna help. But really what it comes down to is even during their busy times, the guys just don't really have anywhere to go, and when it's an overflow. And one thing that I spoke to, one of their plant managers there was, he was looking to purchase that field next to his facility, which is between him and the train tracks, but, and I meant to reach out to you, and I just haven't had a chance yet, but maybe working something with either the property owner or something. I don't know, maybe it's a discussion we can have to try to get them. It's gonna be one thing that's gonna help alleviate that is generally with a business like Aldi has there, a warehouse, there's usually like a place for these guys to go and park and.
Truck
and the-
traffic, right?
What's that?
Truck traffic.
Truck traffic, yeah, sorry. They have like a long driveway, and I've talked to a bunch of their truckers trying to figure out what they think is the best way, and they're like, yeah, normally there's a long driveway for us to go to and the checkpoint, and everybody lines up, and generally there's only 1 or 2 cars out in the, trucks out on the road, if at all. And so, that's one thing they'd like to do. I've also talked, they have a huge driveway that goes all the way around the building, so, I brought that up to them as well as a possible solution. But it's all, you know, it's just, they gotta make it happen. And, you know, I put the ideas in front of them, and they just have to jump on board with them, so. Hopefully they'll solve that, cause it's a ongoing issue. Our guys have had problems getting on and out as they get on the highway, cause they literally back up to the highway, and I've seen it. And I'll go there when I work nighttime, and I make sure that you guys can't be here, so they go find a spot to park, so. I think it's something that, Aldi really needs to, but I think working with the village is their number one, asset, to see what you guys can work together, and, you know, we're willing to be part of that discussion as well, whatever we can do to help, but, yeah, that's really about it. Policing highlights, there's not really, or community policing highlights, I've been working with the schools a lot. I'm there, if not every day of the week that I'm on duty, almost every day. They've really enjoyed the presence that they've had in there. I talked with Andy Smith, the superintendent, the principal, almost daily. I make contact with he's not the principal, but he sort of runs the elementary school. I made contact with him almost every day, and, you know, getting involved with the schools, and they've really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed it too, so. And I've been working really with them about, you guys have seen the obvious, active violence incidents that have happened between Okemos, the fake one, and then the one at MSU, and one thing that I've really worked with since I've been more active with them is making sure we come up with a plan. And actually today and yesterday, I went to our training for active violence incidents, and I got some great resources to try to bring some trainings in for our school, and some great resources to make sure that we're prepared. You know, I hate to say when it happens, but it's inevitable, when and if it happens. So I hate to say those words, but it's a terrible thing, but we gotta be prepared, and they're doing their best to do that. One of the things they're doing, the school, they had a bond to try to get a technology upgrade, and I fully support that, because one of the things is to increase some cameras that they got, some technologies that they got that are gonna make it a safer school, so. And Andy Smith is doing a great job at making upgrades to the school so they can make this a safer school, and they do a heck of a job. I'm just gonna say that. He's very proactive with it, and I'm very proud of what the steps that they take and how seriously they take this. But that's about all I got.
Now, are those doors locked like Fowlerville? They have like an intercom system, and when you go to the door, because the doors are all locked, you have to press the button on the intercom, and it goes directly to the office?
Yep.
And, okay,
Yeah, so right on the front door, they have a press button, I don't know if it's got an intercom, but it's got a video. They usually just see me or somebody else out there. They may have it if they don't know them.
Okay,
But they open the door,
okay.
for me personally.
But I mean, this goes for parents or for anything?
Yeah, I'd imagine. I don't know if it's got an intercom, but I know it has a video. So
It does.
I'm assuming it does. Yeah, it does.
It does.
You know, but, during the school hours, the entire building, you can't get in from outside without, somebody,
When you went.
letting you in, and the only entrance, well, there's two entrances, the one on the Spartan Center and the one on the front of the building are the only ones, as far as I know, that have some sort of electronic, means of access, where someone has to let you in,
Okay,
but otherwise, they're all locked.
good to know.
So in your time here, now that you've been here a while, what's your general take on the types of calls you're getting and how often are things getting better, getting worse, about staying the same?
It's about the same. You know, there's waves of things of when they happen. Cadillac converter thefts, you know, they're working their way in here. You know, all we can do is, you know, I advise people to get cameras, you know. Do we need everything camera? Man, I don't want everything to have camera, but it solves crimes. It really does. It's helpful for us. You know, there was one of my partners took while I was off. One was stolen up at the high school. And although we had video, there was good video of it, you couldn't zoom in enough on the license plate to get a good, so, there are digital enhancements that you can get, but if there's like just a blur, like 100% blur, you're just not gonna get anything, so. So cameras are good, but they gotta be able to zoom in, but as far as crime in the area, I would say, I mean, I look at all of our calls in Weberville, and for March, there may have been a couple I didn't put in because they're just, you know, like, check welfare, or I just put a synopsis of the calls. I don't put every single thing I go on, because someone's like, a check welfare, yep, they were fine, stuff like that.
Sure.
But no, I would say crime is not increased at all,
Good to know.
you know? And if there's ever, you know, I'm more than willing to go over things with anyone if they want some more information about stuff, or, you guys, I think I got advised that somebody FOIA'd a bunch of, reports too, so, and that's something you guys can do if you're really interested, but if you ever have more in-depth questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Feel like you feel like there's more deputies wanting to come aboard, or is it pretty quiet?
What do you mean, like, work for us?
Yeah, trying to get pulled in and get them excited about wanting to
So,
be involved.
over the past, probably, I'll say 3 years, we've been, pulling guys out, allowing people who have worked in our jail, corrections officers, we'll have an interview process, and so for the past probably 2 or 3 years, we've done either 1 or 2 in the police academy, and they've been cycling through. And I know that, we just pulled one out of Williamson, Officer Pentar, he just started with us, so he's doing well. And then as far as I know, there's gonna be 5 people in training over the summer, staggered through the next couple months starting, so 5 new guys. But again, that process, once you get hired, is a 3.5-month process to get through the training that you're one-on-one with there's another officer in the car with you. So, yeah, there's 2 people employed, but you don't really have that coverage because there are 2 people in a car. But, you know, probably by the end of the year, we'll have those numbers up. But again, the next year brings another series of retirements, and then we gotta make up for those. And so, this year and next year are pretty big numbers for retirements for us. Yeah, it's crazy. But I feel the numbers of people getting interested and applying different places is going up.
Good.
Yeah.
Anybody from the council have any more for Deputy Chris? Good. Thank you, Chris, appreciate your report.
Yeah.
Done your officer.
Oh, good evening. Public Works, we've been doing some mist digs, got the building on the corner of Summit and Grand River there that they're doing an environmental study on. Got that going, regular compliance sampling's all up to date, we did have a water main break. Done some meter repairs, water shutoffs, leaf and brush pickup, we've done some patching, well painting, curb stop replacement, we've got the VFDs installed in wells 1 and 2. There's still a little bit of, there's some, pressure transducer and a drawdown transducer that will, slow the pumps down if the drawdown's too much in that, aquifer for wells 1 and 2. I just got a call this afternoon from Viola, which was bought in Suez, that we have our maintenance contract through for the water tower. They're going to do the chemical washout May 2nd. So May 1st, we'll be taking the tower offline. It's a little sooner than I wanted to do because we haven't got all the bugs worked out of the VFDs yet, but we're gonna still put our pressure relief valves on and see if we can't tune it down so we're not losing as much water. And use the pressure release valves as more of a safety backup. Then we'll be able to run the wells and we won't be pumping through so much extra water and chemicals and everything else, so. That's gonna be happening soon, and once the tower's all cleaned, then we can go through and we're gonna, go through and flush all the hydrants and everything. So, get that, we're gonna get back on the, twice a year flushing. I think that helps a lot. The once a year just isn't enough for the iron content.
Yeah, you said we had a water main break,
Yep,
okay? Last 2 weeks, 3 different places in town, between the party store, Dollar General, Millis. I've had people come up to me and ask me about what is going on with the water the last couple of weeks. It smells, it's got an odor to it, it's cloudier than usual. And I went, I don't know, I can bring it up.
yeah.
Because all the rain and the water table's just a little bit higher.
Yeah, it could be running down, it could be cycling into the aquifer faster, I guess, with a little more head pressure, but, I don't know, nobody said anything to me about it, so.
The biggest thing is there's an odor to it.
Is it what?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just got that from 2 neighbors wanting to know if I had that problem. And I went, no, not at all. And I know they have water conditioners.
Yeah.
New water conditioners. So it's not that.
Yeah, and really, that should stop anything, so a lot of times, so if something gets stirred up, like if we're shutting down main valves and stuff, when you turn those down, you're actually breaking the tuberculation off that's growing out of the valves, so you're gonna be releasing particles. We shut it down, we do our fix, we open a hydrant up. This was actually on a dead-end street, so we could open the hydrant up and just pull everything through.
Okay.
So it didn't get in the system, but still, when you run a hydrant like that, it's still gonna stir things up way back in the, it's gonna pull stuff from different spots. And generally, if you get cloudy water or something like that, generally, if you just flush a little bit, it'll straighten out, but it's probably,
But that wouldn't cause the odor.
no, but it all depends on what the odor is. Yeah.
Did they give you hot water heaters?
Yeah, a lot of times hot water heaters, if they put those in, the anode rods in them, a lot of times it smells like sulfur. It's a sacrificial anode in there that basically breaks down and it's got a sulfur smell to it.
Yeah, that I didn't ask them that question. Again, all my stuff is relatively new within the last 5 years, so,
Yeah,
I'm not having a problem so
yeah.
far.
Pretty much with the iron content as high as it is, I recommend that anybody put a whole house filter on at minimum.
Right,
And the water's hard, not as hard as I've seen in a lot of places, but it's still hard. Water softener is a good idea.
mhm,
But yeah, as far as what exactly the smell is, I can do some checking and find out.
okay,
But I don't notice anything, cause I check the water every day, check the water here, the water tower, in both the wells. And I mean, the water coming out of the wells is really good. And then after it travels through the old pipes to get to where it's going, it's pulling stuff off the side, so.
Now you're gonna do fire hydrant flushes starting next month?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so that should help.
yeah, that will, and it's not a cure-all, but a lot of times you'll get, especially on like dead ends and stuff that really doesn't get a high draw through there. We put, it all started with Flint, we put phosphate in the water. And what the phosphate does is two things, it's a corrosion, control for the pipes. And it also, it basically, it pulls a lot of the iron out of the water. But when it pulls it out of the water, it adheres it to the inside of the pipe. So, once you get a high flow, it's gonna pull some of that stuff off and create like a cloudy or rusty, water. So, when we go through new flushing, you'll generally get a lot of red water complaints. But as we go through, we have a certain pattern that we try to, either draw fresh water from the wells or draw fresh water from the tower. So that we're always pulling along clean water, but we're pulling it through all that stuff, breaking it off. And we try to flush it until it goes clear. Some of them just don't clear up, so there's still gonna be some cloudy, some yellow or red to it.
Right.
But as it settles down and readheres to the walls of the pipe.
Okay. I just said I would mention it because
Yeah,
so
if
many people, I was just amazed.
Yeah.
First thing I would ask is the hot water heater, because my hot water heater stinks to high heaven in the springs. It seems like whenever the local water table's high is whenever that anaerobic breakdown happens more often.
Yeah, and temperature changes will affect it too.
Yeah.
You know, your water is generally, it's running through pipes that are in the ground and it's a constant 55 degrees, but somewhere along the way it comes in, it gets a little
It's a
warmer.
good time to flush out your hot water heater anyway.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Springtime, so.
There's always a noticeable increase in water quality when you guys do the hydrant flushes for
Yeah,
the first couple of
that's-
months, so.
that's why I think it needs to be done twice a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
How is the hunt for a dump truck going?
Not well. Not well. Our other ones, it's dead in the water.
Oh, so are we down a dump truck right now?
Down a dump truck and our backhoe's down too. Waiting on a wiring harness to come from Moline, Illinois, I guess, from John Deere.
That's the
Gonna make it.
backhoe.
Yeah,
What's wrong with the dump truck?
transmission.
Ugh.
Yeah, it'll run, it just won't move.
It's usually a problem.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, as long as the hydraulics work, we'll just fill it full of salt and pull it with the other dump truck.
It starts just
Have a little
fine.
train.
So really the issue is just with the new truck is finding anybody that has a good lead time, or do we just still not know lean?
I mean, I think we're basically looking at a good used one right now, because nobody's gonna get us a new one.
Right.
They're like, no, there's no slots available, you know, to build one.
So our names in the hat, D&K Freightliner, International and Lansing. And then we also have a truck and trailer in Howell. They have a website they go to that what would come available. But at that point, when I was explaining like where I get us on a list, but it's 300 days, it's 10 months.
Right, so there's not even a
So-
chance that it'd be here before
No.
next winter.
But if we, from what we did find, and we were real close to grabbing one, but we only had a day off from grabbing it, it was up in Buckley, Michigan. And I got our name in the hat there also, which would be 4 to 5 years old, single axle, have all the technology, which would be way more efficient than what we have now.
Right.
And then you would probably then take the next 2 years to get a new truck, and you'd have this one would be a newer one, but I'd say for this next season for salt, we're gonna have to buy a new used truck.
Right.
That will fit this position.
Yeah, and even if we can get just the dump truck, then we can take it to the truck and trailer or something, they can do for the underbelly plow.
I know it's a range, but what's a 5-year-ish old used dump truck run these days?
100.
100,000.
Yeah, it's insane. It's 300% more than what it should be.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
unfortunately, it does.
Yeah.
But we're at the mercy of phone calls with
Yeah.
these gentlemen, and I got a pretty good, I feel pretty comfortable with the one in D&K that I talked to, the sales rep. He says there's 3 Ford windows coming up, April, May, June, and he says, and you're top of the list of me to get a hold of you if there's a slot that we can grab, a Signax slot. I communicate with him, well, they talk to us pretty much every day with what we're doing, but
Right.
we'll keep communicating with them. I'd imagine Buckley, because they do auctions out west, and they get different states that will, and that's where this one came available, was really exactly what we needed, but missed it by a day.
Right.
So,
So you are looking out of state, Illinois, Iowa.
Right.
We're Indiana.
yep, they have the availability, they bring them in, then they recondition them,
Right.
and, you know, good people up there. Bought a couple pieces from them. Okay, I think you're good?
Yep, writing a note to get ahold of the, one of my neighbor's son's, service manager at, I think Volvo.
Yeah, you bet. So international, we got set up, we're on the list, and then we're at D&K, and then Buckley,
Yeah.
and then also Howell for truck and trailer.
Yeah.
If anybody gets a chance to go to our well houses, like 1 and 2 and 3, I mean, I was very impressed when I helped Shane here a while back, how nice they're clean and painted, and, I mean,
Yeah, well,
they're top notch.
They're coming, we're,
Long ways from what we had before.
yeah, the piping inside has to be painted in the wintertime because the pipes sweat, because you're bringing 55-degree water out of the ground, and if it's above that, it's gonna sweat. So we spent the winter painting the piping and stuff in there and the pumps, and, we pretty much got almost all of well 1 and 2 done. We had a path in there so that we could get to do the water samples that's still open, and then they've been in there, putting the transducers in the VFDs and stuff, so we're gonna have to go back and do some touch up. And then I've got the floor to do in well number 3, but I need to acid etch it first, so it sticks good. But they are looking much better.
Yeah, nice. And our vacuum curbside machine, 1 hydraulic pump, I talked to Kim yesterday, Monday, and he's got 1 done, and I said, I'm ready, I gotta start sweeping, so then we're trying to get
It's been, how long has it been? A year?
over a year.
Yeah.
I don't get it,
Can't get anybody to do anything anymore.
no. We used to get drive shafts, and that same day or next day, it's a week, the system is broken right now. But, so we're on, and I'm pushing that every day, we're talking to them every day, not that makes it a little easier for us. The biggest thing is, that we might wanna think about is the John Deere backhoe, if it's gonna continue to have these kind of issues, we might have to trade it in and buy a case backhoe that doesn't do electric over hydraulic.
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably in order with how many issues we've had with it
Yeah.
and learning the electric over hydraulic, it's
Yeah.
probably due to do
It
that.
just it sucks.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of looking at, the only thing is that 4-in-1, the clam bucket on the front is really handy, and I know Case has one, but it's not as
It's
popular.
not.
But,
Yeah, case is handy,
yeah,
no,
um,
they do have that figured out, but.
yeah,
Well, and the harness should work, and so the reason it's on backwards is because everybody's replaced them, and it's one of the things that have problems with.
yeah,
But hopefully we'll get that soon,
yeah.
we'll get on that. All right, Jessica Cooch, clerk treasurer, how are you?
Good. So Pam and I have been trying to go through more of those boxes and different files before tax season and audit starts, because it's gonna get busy again. We got the final disbursement for the SAW grant. We've been trying to light clean, get files switched over, get cabinets reorganized, so it's a little more, easier to go through. And I was told by Caitlin that for audit, they've already started getting stuff gathered, so this year should go by without an issue. And then, I'm gonna be putting in for the last unclaimed property check that we need to get. So I'm gonna be kind of using
Unclaimed.
unclaimed property. Yeah, I just checked that it wasn't under cash, so
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to get it back from the state.
All right, any questions for the clerk treasurer? Anybody, council? Okay, and then you got any classes coming up soon, Marianne?
Last week, it will be the MMPA Institute, and I've been working on that, fit leader one, for like the next, it'll be like the next 6 months, I'll be doing that.
Okay, online,
Mm.
gotcha. Okay. All right, Josh Rocky, you wanna do anything for your rural downtown development authority?
We really don't have a whole lot going on. They're doing the second phase of the environmental on that, on the Ford dealer building right now. So hopefully if that comes back clean, then we'll be finishing out that purchase of that property. Parking lot, they should be, I don't know, we're taking that to bed right now. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm gathering comments from Terry Terra based on, I sent them plans for the review, they're giving me comments to see if we need to update that, but, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Any plans or timeline on updating the billboard out on 52?
That's in the works too, yeah.
Is it,
Yeah.
what are you thinking, like June, July?
They'll probably actually have it probably next week, I think.
Oh, wow.
Good.
Perfect.
So we're actually they're gonna put the community picnic on it.
Cool.
So, and then we'll swap it out after that.
Cool.
Very nice, thank you. Hi, Jim Wright, our ordinance officer. Come.
Springtime's coming, so I started doing some more general maintenance, enforcement throughout the neighborhood. It's time to people start cleaning up their properties from the winter blight. And there's a lot of cars, a lot of garbage, a lot of busted up trailers on finding properties and things, so I've written several violation notices on that. Our junk car, crash car, it was on Summit, that's gone. Got that taken care of. As far as the building services go, 4400 with Grand River, which is Alpha Omega. I sent out a notice Monday, giving them a timeline that they have to give me the plans by. I gave them April 24th because it's been more than a year now since we've been trying to get them to comply. And once I gave them that time frame, miraculously, 6 o'clock at night, I got an email come through with a set of plans. So we got a set of plans for this being reviewed for that. I believe the engineering is all set, right? Yeah. So now we've got building plans and we can see we can't get him moving forward. Our little house on Cherry Street, the homeowners, it's insulated. They're gonna start drywall in there. I expect that to be finished for the next 2 months. That new little home there. I guess the elephant in the room, Jay Rittman, in your packet, you guys can see where we got an order that's to abate. But then Scott yesterday sent to me, he hired his attorney again, Mr. Corman. So they're going to appeal that order, it looks like. Something the council and the village is gonna have to think about on these abatement orders is, when we abate something, if the property owner doesn't do it themselves, we have to do it. And then we charge it, put on the property taxes. Now, the order I got from the court was to clean up all that outdoor storage there, all those plastics, all the garbage, all that stuff that's underneath all the sheds and things there. That's 10 semi-truck loads of stuff that's gotta come out of there. And trying to find somebody that's willing to do that kind of work is pretty tough, so we just gotta keep that in the back of mind. It's great to get orders like this, but to actually act on the logistics behind it, we're really gonna have to put our heads together and figure out how we wanna do it. Right now, I'm kinda on hold, I guess, right, Scott, as far as this goes, I can't really send anybody over there. I was gonna get with the sheriff there and go over there guns a-blazing and say, start cleaning up this place, but now we got this appeal. But even at that, finding someone to help get that materials out of there, is tough. But other than that, that's really what we have going on. The marijuana place has got their full CFO, they're done over, it's all finished, everything's finished here. He expects to have us coming through there probably, the last week in April. He's gonna invite us to come through and do a tour of his facility. So if you're interested in doing that, just let us know and go through there and see what he has here. One of the discussions I have with our fire marshal is with the new businesses we have coming into the industrial park, these large buildings. You know, they require fire suppression. And a lot of these, because of our water supply that we have here, we don't have enough water to supply the suppression systems that these buildings are required to have. So there's a big cost to these properties to having to put underground tanks and things like that. So it's just something that down the road, the village might want to think about how we can get more water to these the industrial park, you know, for fire suppression. It's, you have a fire, it drops the towers load down quite significantly. And so, but that's what we have as far as building code goes right now.
Would that mean like a bigger water tower?
I think that's something I don't know if I know more about.
Yeah, I mean, the fire code, you know, one of the issues that you do when you model things like that is the fire code never anticipates a bunch of fires going on at the same time, which adds demand to the system. So you do an analysis based on what you have to get out at the road through the hydrants and what's required by the fire suppression system in the building. And the last time I did something like that, you know, the fire suppression system is supposed to provide a certain rate of water flow through the sprinkler systems to the most remote 1,200 square feet within the building. If you look at one instance in the park, the tank has sufficient capacity for that. If you look at multiple instances at the same time, it becomes a different scenario. And so, you know, it really depends on what the criteria is that you're judging the system by. And, you know, that typically gets handled a couple of different ways. One is through the water reliability study that's done for the village periodically, every 10 years or so. And then your insurance carrier will do periodic updates where they go through and they run pressure tests and they look at the tank volume and they look at the, you know, the fire suppression needs that the system may have, and then they will do ratings based on that. So it's certainly something that needs to be paid attention to, and it gets paid attention to relatively often. So,
Right. So has this created any current issues where businesses have had to choose not to operate here based on that?
No, we haven't had that yet. No, we haven't had that yet. But as we move forward, some of these larger buildings we have in the industrial park, when they start doing modeling and things like that, they were built prior to the requirement for some fire suppression. Well, when they start doing it, they're gonna require to start putting fire suppression in, which, when you have to bring tanks in, underground tanks, or put ponds in, it brings the cost way up. And so, you know, and we're starting to see some movement in the park as far as new tenants moving in and things like that, so.
and part of it is a function of the use as well. So the fire code and the building code obviously establish specific uses, some of which have a much higher requirement for fire suppression. You know, if you are working with flammables or paper products or that kind of thing, you know, those uses then cause additional requirements to be in place. So, you know, we've worked on, for instance, if you think about Dark Container Corporation in Mason. Dark Container deals with polystyrene and they deal with products that are highly flammable. Their fire suppression requirements for that use in those buildings is different than what you would find for a normal warehouse operation. So, you know, it's just a function of the use.
Thank you, Jen, for working on that other program there for the Andrews Oval. And then we'll be able to get something, to Jessica Gooch so we can get them a reimbursement of some
Yeah.
sort.
Right. We had a resident that was putting a small bedroom and bathroom addition on their home, 450 square feet. And the builder is charging them over $140-some thousand for this little addition. They're being taken advantage of. You know, that works out to over $300 a square foot. Typically, the price per square foot is anywhere between $80 to like $180 per square foot for construction. Our fee schedule is based on the construction value that they give us. So when they came with $140,000, over $140,000, that's almost like what the construction value is for the homes they're building over here in Black Oak.
Right.
So the permit fee was $2,000 for a 400 square foot addition. So I scratched my head, that's our fee schedule, and that's just what it is, and they're just being taken advantage of by the contractor, so I scratched my head on it. The state has a construction value calculator where it takes the contractor's price out of it, and it's based on square footage and the type of construction it is. So if I use that calculator, that brings that fee down to about, the construction fee down to $50,000. So I think for this couple, because I think they're being taking the cleaners to begin with, I don't want to be part of that. So I'm going to take a look at that and see if we can't bring our permit fee down based on that state calculation rather than what the contractor gets.
That's not right.
A bedroom and bathroom, 144,000, I think it was.
It's full handicap accessible. I get it, they're gonna have a lot of it.
But still, no, that's an exuberant amount of money.
But we can't, I gotta watch it. I gotta watch what I say as far as the contractor goes, unless I do is get myself sued or village sued for him losing a job because he said something like that. You know, all we do is
Just
try
try
to
to look out for them, and we can reduce our end of it for them, and they did mention when I talked to them, they said that they had some extreme things they wanted done because they're somewhat handicapped, they wanna
Okay.
the debt for, so great people out here, Ariel, Andrews,
And they're very nice.
316 Grand River,
316 what?
Grand River.
She works at DNW.
I'm sorry.
She works at DNW.
Oh, cool.
She's super nice.
Super, and they just moved to Water Hill, they said they had help for they were in Williamsville for a little bit and then they moved here, so. We wanna make sure they have a warm welcome, not a salty one, so.
Seems like everything's going well with the old Sinclair building.
Yeah, they're moving on real well there.
Yeah.
I stopped by there the other day, you know, just to talk to, see how he's going along. Electrician replaced most of all the electric underground in there. He's getting the hood suppression coming in, for the grill. And, he's gonna put it up for lease again.
All right.
Looks a lot better than what it did.
That's for
That's great.
He's proposing on putting a little bit of a covered deck on the front of it too. Not as far as what Greg Krantz wanted to put it almost all at the Grand River, and we stopped, he couldn't do that. He's just gonna have it come out over that little deck that is out in front.
Right.
Anything more happen in front of the pond over there in the old dentist office?
No, he's got a for sale sign on it, up for sale, but, you know, we've talked to him a couple times about, you know, the U-Haul thing, but, you know, he's not, the U-Haul guy isn't looking to have trucks anymore, he wants to have, be able to have self-storage. That's what he's looking for. He wants to be able to take these big pods and store them inside there.
Gotcha. Anything else, Jim? We're all set?
That's it, just, you know, working with a fund, Jay Whitman, that's,
I know, just scratch your head on that one. Wow. All right, well, thank you. And then we'll go to Lisa report. Sandra,
There hasn't been anything new, the next meeting is scheduled for Thursday.
this coming Thursday? And then at this point, I don't know, Josh, and we come to haven't paid anything to him yet at this time, right?
No, we haven't, our attorney wasn't at our last PD meeting, so we couldn't vote on the revenue sharing agreement.
Okay.
So,
So you missed both the last two meetings that you guys had?
I believe so, yeah.
It sounds like the ball's in your guys' court, is you just need to vote.
We just need to vote to accept that. I do know we agreed for 20,000. They were requesting 30 and we agreed with 20.
Okay.
So it's just really just getting the paperwork.
Yeah. Would the Gormley say he just couldn't make it, or did we know he wasn't there?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
It's been interesting with them.
But it wasn't their lawyer, it was our lawyer.
Yeah, it's ours.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's the one that has to draft up the agreement, so that is, protects us and our revenues.
All right, sounds good. Is there anything you need from us with the DDA to help with anything to make sure, okay?
Me, if I'm gonna pick up John and make sure that he's at the next meeting.
It still seems like we could get this through with 20 at this point.
I'm pretty sure that they will go for 20 if that's what we vote on. I mean, 20 is better than nothing. That's kind of like the thing that we were going around last time.
Mhm.
So even if they don't get 30, something is better than nothing.
I like the way you think.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to our attorney, Scott Gould.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion, the conflict resolved itself, and, if it wasn't for the Rittman matter, I wasn't sure if I should still come or not, but anyway. So, there's a question when I first walked in as to Jamie's plea date. The record reflects online that it is set for May 3rd at 10 a.m. So that's when that's supposed to take effect. Could always get adjourned, so stay updated on that piece. White Rose, the appeal, the initial White Rose matter, the long protracted litigation, that is still pending in circuit court at the moment. White Rose is now appealing the most recent magistrate's order. That's what Jim just referenced a few minutes ago. Same attorney, Michael Comorn, will be on it. I have not received a date certain from the court as to when this will start. It could be any time, it's just the speed of the docket at this point. So as soon as I get word on that, I'll relay that to the counselor and to Mr. Wright. And with that being said, it kind of it does put a stay on the current order. We really shouldn't move until we know what's gonna happen from here.
How are they able to continue to have this keep?
Well, I think what could possibly happen is if the district court finds that this appeal is nothing more than stalling, causing problems for the village, we are now definitely getting in the grounds of attorney fees and expenses, even beyond what, my time, it could add a punitive level to this thing.
And then your opinion when we're at these, in front of the judge and the magistrate, they do contend that we have our paperwork in order, that we're not we're not trying to not work with them? So the judge knows what we're dealing with, that we're trying to cooperate.
Oh, I believe so. Without them specifically saying that to me, I think that we've conveyed the message quite well that
We just want to comply.
Compliance. And, even although I will say, when this last matter, the order came down from the magistrate to abate the nuisance, a lot of time went by from when the order was signed to when Michael Comorn entered his appearance. In that time, I thought maybe Jay Rittman was just gonna go down the road of compliance, because I did receive an email from Jay Rittman directly from him to me. Comorn was not in this thing, looking for some solutions to this abatement, other than pulling everything off the property. I was not inclined to engage in that conversation because we had the order, and a lot of the questions were questions that either him and his attorney needs to figure out, or if the village is gonna be a part of it, I need a Jim with me or Chris Corey to make sure that I don't overstep my bounds on some of these rules, because obviously this is this issue's been around for some time, so. But at the last minute, effectively, they put the appeal in. I suspect that a court could just dismiss the appeal, but that's probably not likely. And we may have to go through the steps again, but again, I think now if the same issues are brought forth and the same claims are made and the judge finds himself in the same position, I think the court's gonna be looking at this in a different light. So.
And that could be within the next 30 days?
It could, it's just the speed of the docket, I don't know where the 55th is at the moment, so.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
May 2nd, I have Jay back in court room, another ticket for occupying without a certificate of occupancy in those buildings. And so now I'm pushing the fact that the uses he's having in those buildings don't meet the requirements of the building code, and he does not have a valid certificate of occupancy. So that's on May 2nd. Also in that email that Scott was talking about, that Jay Rittman sent, he admitted to the fact that, I believe his name was Ed Smith, who is the owner of Gen 2 Plastics, is his tenant and one of the people he has to deal with. Well, last year when I had them in court, Gen 2 in court, they denied to the court that he had anything to do with that property, that he was just helping out Jay Rittman. So in my case on May 2nd, because it's involved in the certificate of occupants, I'm going to bring out in a case that Mr. Rittman and Mr. Smith perjured themselves in front of the court with giving false information about the fact that they said they had nothing to do with this, when we have Mr. Rittman's email stating that he is a tenant. There's a lot of information in that email that's very incriminating to Mr. Rittman himself, so that's stuff we'll be using in the case coming up.
Just want to get it resolved and have him comply, of some sort, just get somewhere.
Well, it's mounting, I mean, it's getting bigger, I mean, it's gonna be harder and harder for this to keep going forward, I would think, for Mr. Rittman. So, the employment policy, I know that, that was something that the council requested me to review. I have not completed that review as of this time, I apologize, I just, time constraints, wasn't able to give firm answers on all the questions that came about with it. And really, that's all I've got at the moment, so.
What were the, so Jamie's plea, do you have an idea of what that's gonna be?
The prosecutor told me, she told me the charge, it's a felony, it's one step down, and I can't remember, is it 10,000 to 20,000? Do you remember what they said? It's one down from the original charge, still a felony, and the prosecutors they wanna angle it in that, they're gonna backload the sentence. So effectively, they would be saying, the judge would be saying to Jamie, you pay restitution. If you screw up, if you quit your job, you do something illegal again, all the prison time is still on the table. Mm-hmm. And if she pays and she is compliant with the entire duration of this sentence, at the end of it, then the judge will render a final jail sentence if he finds it reasonable. And this is always the problem with embezzlement cases, because do you house them, do you lodge them at the expense of the taxpayer, or do you let them back out in the public, get them working, garnish their wages, and try and recoup the loss? You know, it's always that tough call, but at least in this sentencing scheme that the prosecutor was trying to explain to me is that effectively the carrot and stick, you know, do your part, get the money back, you're gonna mitigate your overall jail or prison sentence. You do nothing, you definitely get prison. So.
Yeah, at least try to recoup some of the money and, or recoup the money. It's better to have her out working.
You know,
she's not a real threat to society. I think that's gonna be the biggest thing is, it's not like, she's been a criminal her entire life. It just morphed into what it is because of her position, and sure nobody else ever hired for that position anyways, and then she'll have a felony on the record, and so I think it works out in the best interest, for the village to get money back, to get restitution back to do that. And I've seen that quite a bit where folks in her position get that same type of deal, and it, you know, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, I guess, is ultimately, if it doesn't, she goes away in some fashion. And I know people oftentimes want jail time right up front, but, you know, if you give her jail time up front and she gets out, then what's the incentive? I'm not gonna do anything now.
Right, yeah, she doesn't have to pay.
I have a question, do you have any luck with our two reimbursement insurance programs, or you?
With Diane Nguyen, I have not heard an update before today's meeting.
It's all right, just keep checking on it.
Yeah,
Cause they had a couple questions for you,
yep,
trying to do a little sidestep.
yep, they were wanting to confirm that Jamie was in fact the clerk treasurer. They had some reason to believe that she was the deputy clerk treasurer. But she had been in the role of treasurer for 10 years at least, I mean, some time.
Not 10, but.
And then there was another question as to the timing of the new issue of the bond, which I think has been resolved. I don't think that's an issue anymore. And I think even Jamie's title has been resolved, but I mean, it's behind us, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alan Boyer. All right, engineer, take off.
See you guys.
So you have, two projects that are coming up this summer. One is Main Street between Memorial Day and Labor Day, and that seems to be right on schedule. After that will be the Apple Lane water main project, to replace that water main. And I noted in the minutes from the last meeting that there was an ending comment that was, they asked the question, and this certainly came up at the last meeting that I was at here regarding, capping North Main Street between Beach and Pardee Road. And we've taken a look at, what that might be if we added it to the paving work that's associated with Apple Lane. And that would, you know, we've estimated based on those unit prices that it would probably run on the order of about $130,000 to $140,000. We provided that information to Caitlin, I think, for the budget, and I don't know where the budget stands in terms of certain dollar values for things like road, water, sewer. That's something that I can probably get together with Jessica and find out. The reason I bring that up is obviously the balance of North Main to completely rebuild it is it's supposed to be on the transportation improvement plan that Tri-County has for the period 2023 to 2026. But this morning, Shane sent me an email regarding some funding that is coming available through MDOT called it's called Category B funding for small communities. It's through the Transportation Economic Development Fund. And I haven't fully gone through to understand this, but essentially it's monies that are being made available to small communities. The village is eligible. They will allow you to make 2 applications for either the 2024 construction season or the 2025 construction season. And each application has the possibility of getting a grant up to $250,000, but it requires a 50% match. So, you know, if for instance, the village decided in any one of those 2 years to try to apply for this funding, if you got it, you could have 2 projects at $500,000 apiece. So the match would be $500,000. And I don't know where that falls within the village's budget for the next year or 2 years. And that's something that I need to discuss with a little bit more knowledge to both the council and possibly Jessica and maybe Caitlin. The application for this, the deadline is June 15th, so we've got a little bit of time, but not a ton. We got basically 8 weeks. So what I need to do is have a discussion with Jessica, have a discussion with Caitlin, if it's okay with the council, and then put together something based on a discussion with Shane and see if the council's interested, if you even have the money to support something like this. So obviously you can get money, but you gotta match it, so.
Right. You get 500, but you gotta match it.
500, yeah. So, and you're eligible, there's no guarantees that you'll get any, but, you know, going through the application process is relatively simple, but if you get selected, then you know, that starts a cascade effect of, okay, now we gotta design a project, now we gotta do a project, now we gotta spend money on a project, so.
So could you structure it as, do the application for this June deadline, 250,000 of a project in 24 and another project in 25?
The way I'm reading it at this point, you are applying for either projects in 2024 or 2025.
Not both.
Yes.
Which can exceed 500,000, they'll pay us.
Well,
If we give them.
you're allowed to make 2 applications for up to 250,000
Each time.
each time, assuming that you've got 250 as the grant and then the 250 match.
Would that be matched? They said it only have to match 50%. Not,
Yeah, so if you get a grant for 250,000, that can only be 50% of the project, so it's gotta be a $500,000 project.
Oh, I see.
So,
you thinking like I was.
I got it now.
Yeah.
now, some projects could be highly elaborate, in other words, maybe needs, for instance, if it was, let's just say it was Weberville Road from
Right,
Grand
or by the
River
water
County.
tower. Yep.
That's gonna be highly elaborate, because there's a lot of design costs and things involved in that. However, there are some projects that appear to be eligible for this that could be preventative projects. So if there's repaving that needs to be done in other parts of the village that doesn't require a lot of design, you put a simple set of plans together and get it out to bid, you know, the soft costs are much smaller, and so most of the dollars can go to the actual construction work. That may be a much more efficient way of doing it. And so that's what I would need to talk to Shane about specifically. But the first thing I gotta figure out,
Is if we got 500,000 to build.
yeah, exactly, because it doesn't make sense to apply for money you don't have to spend, so.
I don't think so.
And that,
Caitlin will be here tomorrow.
the answer to that question could be pretty simple.
Yeah, Caitlin will be here tomorrow.
Caitlin will be here tomorrow, so we're gonna make a phone call, but I'm
Okay.
sure with from what I can gather and the numbers I've seen, it's possible.
And it may very well be, and it may be more possible in 2025 than it is in 2024. Okay? And if the balance of Main Street to rebuild it is in the tip for 2025, and you get that funding, this can be applied to other parts of projects too, it appears.
Within the village.
Yes, so, you know, there may be some efficiencies, so there's a lot of balls to this, and I need to get my arms around it. I just got this at 11 o'clock today, so I haven't quite fully understood it, but I need
Seems
to
like
ask
it
some
might
questions.
be advantageous to apply for 2025, because then could we potentially budget half of it in 24 and the other half in 25? So it's spread out over 2 years?
Which is, exactly, I mean, that's part of the reason I wanna ask the question, because that becomes more of a strategic planning approach to how you acquire and spend the money.
Right.
Exactly. And Jessica would certainly be, you know, well-versed in that, and certainly with Caitlin's, help, you know, so I just wanna ask some questions, cause there's a lot of possibilities here that, you know, I need to kind of get my arms around, and then we can bring something that's a little bit more meaningful to the council. But I simply bring this up as, you know, there is apparently money out there that they are offering if you apply. That's all I have.
Well, if the village doesn't have the money for that, obviously, because obviously the DDA with Tech Drive or Hy-Vee Drive need to be redone. I mean, that would be a good project for that. too.
Exactly.
We do have the cash to make that happen,
Yeah.
so.
Do that without much engineering, most of the money could go right into planning.
Right, I mean, that's all that's really needed, is just have to engineer roads right there.
So you apply for four,
I like
two for
that.
them and two for you?
So either way, I mean, obviously. we
I don't
want some
know,
of
I'll have
the-
to ask, that's a good
I
question.
mean, that's a big project, it's probably the best opportunity to undertake something of that magnitude.
Yeah.
Because when else are you gonna have that available?
And maybe it makes sense, Shane just asked the question, and I don't know the answer, I'll have to find this out. Could the DDA apply and the village apply?
Right, and be treated as two separate entities.
And maybe the DDA applying, you apply for the construction season for 2024, and maybe the village applies for the construction season 2025.
Yeah,
So that's a good question, and I will ask.
yeah.
I started through a list of frequently asked questions. I don't think that was one that was frequently asked, so.
So if the deadline for application is June, when would it be awarded?
The award is, the notice of award is in September. And the money is made available, I believe I read, in December. So that would be for the 2024 construction season. There are no dates for the 2025 construction season.
Gotcha. I mean, just out of curiosity, how does that work with how is that awarded? Is it pulling a name from a hat? Is it based on criteria?
The application requires, some relatively simple limits to the project, a cost estimate, and a description of the proposed work. And I haven't made it through the application to see what their selection requirement is or criteria.
Gotcha.
So,
It's generally a needs-based criteria,
Makes sense.
but if we could get that, we'd be, saving 50 cents on the dollar.
Yeah,
So,
be huge.
and it would go a long way to the estimates we did for the roads out in the business park. It would go a long way to covering most, if not all of that.
Wasn't that like $1 million to redo that?
Well, at one point, I know I estimated it was about 600,000, but I think that was pre-COVID and, but some of those prices have begun to come back down a little bit, so.
So now it's only 2 million.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah.
Again, if you get a chance tomorrow, the Kayla will be in, and Jessica, at least you get.
Okay, yeah, I've gotta go to,
Refresh your memory.
I've gotta go to St. Joe tomorrow, but I may very well give you a call in the morning.
Okay.
When does she normally get here?
Okay, then she'll be here around 9
Okay,
tomorrow.
okay.
Thank you. Okay, on to new business. Total Energy System, I see that's back in, Shane,
yeah, they sent the third.
the third one. So
Yeah.
which one do you recommend to the council and I do?
I mean, it's not like we're gonna probably go shopping for, the generator quote.
Email,
Good night.
Have a
Thanks,
night.
Alan. You got site 1 and site 2, so in site 3, there's 3.
Three, yeah.
So then we gotta figure out if they're gonna go the full, just the 9
The
years.
annual maintenance plus the semi-annual inspection. I mean, all they've done is just build, cost of living or,
Right.
basic increase into it, so.
Inflation of what pays.
I'm happy with their work, they've done great work, I would say go to probably the most go to the 9 years. For each one of them.
So when we go site 1, 2, and 3 for 9 years,
Yeah,
that thing, then they'll come back with a contract for us to
yeah, I just sign that and then they'll just bill us.
start billing us.
So it's done per site now, not per well, is that?
Right, because one's One's for the lift station on Party Road, one's for.
Oh, wait, now it's just like,
Well 1 and 2, and then one's for well 3.
there's a page in the middle. So it would be the 2166 plus 1627 plus 1637, whatever that is.
Total 5430.
Thank you.
It's right in there.
I hadn't gone that far yet. Yeah.
Jessica shortcuts.
Yeah, that's good.
I need to get with the times.
So the recommendation I think the council is to get the total energy system maintenance agreement, semi-annual inspection for 9 years at each of the 3 well houses account number 12326-1 for $21,660. Account number 12326-2 for $1,627. And the account number 12326-3 for $1,637, coming to a grand total not to exceed $5,430.
So moved.
Second.
So we got second, so discussion. So when you look at this, it says for 20, is that's 2,100, there's not a comma here, okay? 2,000, let's see. Here, I'll have to look at it. Okay, I'm good. Okay, let's do a roll call, please.
Schulman,
Yes.
Schoenborg,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Thank you. So each year, for 9 years, we'll have $5,430.
Yep.
And as long as they don't go out of business like the one for our water tower.
Yeah. On it too, I have gotten, I'm still waiting on, I still have one person to meet with. I'm waiting on one bid. I've actually received one bid from UIS, which is a SCADA company that's based out of Dexter. So he's about an hour away. They have cloud-based SCADA, so there wouldn't need to be a 20-year-old computer sitting on my desk. It can all be right through the phone. You can do everything through the phone, it's cloud-based.
Still working after you did that switch?
What's that?
Is still the water tower working with that switch that you?
Yeah, I get alarms. I don't trust it over the weekend, so I've been coming in and checking it because it's just,
So they're gonna get with us, what, you think we'll be doing this about the same time we'll be doing the water tower? Possibly.
no, I think it's gonna take longer than that.
Take longer now?
Because the other SCADA company I don't meet with till like April 17th or something like that, so.
So we're still playing a little ticker.
Yeah, I still don't trust it.
Maybe when the guys come to water tower, you might get a little bit more knowledge, maybe from them that have an extra person to check out what we're doing and are dealing with. I don't know, maybe they're totally different people, I don't know.
Yeah, they're pretty much different.
They've seen them all
Yeah, they have. The quote from UIS is about, they can even, I don't know if you saw in the Total Energy Systems, they have the Gen Tracker where you can track your generator through your phone.
Yeah.
They actually have an option where you can do it right through the SCADA too. I don't think we need to do that.
though. What was their quote?
The quote was about 30,000. I would have guessed it would, I knew it was gonna be more than 30s, but, you know, the guys called me, when I call him, he picks up the phone, said there's 24/7, help. It's, all the parts that they use are non-proprietary, so they're just Allen Bradley's, circuitry, so it's on the shelf, if something goes bad. All the stuff that we have now, we had to like have that guy come out and reprogram it and stuff, and, you know, Dexter's not far away.
No.
Goyette, the one that they're talking about it's cloud-based, but I think it's based out of Arizona, but he said they got really good, they've got really good tech support. I like the idea of having somebody that can come to the thing. The other guy that I'm talking to, April 17th, he does Fowlerville's and he does Williamston, so. And he works on Allen Bradley stuff, so I'm liking the idea of the Allen Bradley stuff, so that, you know, if I can't get somebody here within a couple hours when there's something goes south, I got another option that I can do, so.
Good. All right. Thank you, Shane. Thank you. Okay. Adjust the ARPA funds motion from March 28, 2023.
Yeah, the, ARPA funds motion was made last meeting, was for the 23-24 fiscal year, and for the budget, we needed to be the 22-23 fiscal year. So it's just fixing that.
So we have incorrectly.
Yeah.
So I recommend the council that we adjust the ARPA funds motion from the March 28, 2023, to have it, so it's gonna be for the 2022 year to 2023 year. Get that corrected, because before we had it at 2020.
For this fiscal year, yeah.
So moved.
So, second, by Deborah, so what we're saying is, the one we did make the motion, and Medallion might have been myself, is we did the 23-24, and it would be 22-23. Okay, so everybody's good. Okay, roll call please.
Schulte,
Yes.
Showborn,
Yes.
Walton,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes, thank you. So motion to approve or disapprove the use of ARPA funds on the sheriff's contract for fiscal year 20. We can use some, can't we?
What was that?
It says to disapprove or approve the funds for the sheriff using it from the ARPA funds.
Yeah, that was, you just changed the motion a little bit, so we don't have to worry about that now.
Oh, we don't have to worry about that now? Okay. so
One
we're
other
okay with
thing,
that?
for, it'll take me 300 days, but found out something.
Okay. Right, okay, yeah, oh, so now we need the candy burger.
Yep.
That's what we were talking about, so go ahead and fill us in a little bit on when you talk to them.
Alright, so I talked to the guy, he said our printer is like 900, 9 years old.
Isn't
And,
that something that's already 9 years old?
yeah, and actually today I thought it was gonna quit on me, so this would be preferable. He also said that it is going to save us, it says $75.16 savings per month, or $901.92 per year. So right now, we're spending $332.16 a month for the old one. He said he came to Jamie a few years ago about getting a new one with the savings, so he's really glad that we reached out to him.
That was cool. Cause I mentioned to you, like, Tammy mentioned that day, and I said, we need a quote on that, cause I remember when that was brand new, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's not doing so hot.
So how quick did he say he could get it to us?
He didn't give me a time frame, but it sounds like we could get it to us pretty quick.
Gotcha.
Not like we have to wait for him to build it or anything.
So then when I'm looking at all this, Jessica, the one that we go with would be the 901, 92 per year?
Yep, and then they get the, well, that was the 901, 92.
That's the same.
That would be, yeah. So we'd be spending $257 a month for 60 months.
Right,
And does that,
which comes out to $15,420.
Right.
does that $257 a month cover operating costs? And I assume that doesn't include paper or toner or anything?
And I found, says
But from what I'm
160
seeing,
a
it
month.
would also include maintenance, right?
Yeah, it says installation, driver installation, toner part, service, travel, no charge for scanning, auto toner, and meter reads. And then it says that, base payment locked for pricing for the copies we pay per copy. Says for 6,427 black and white copies a month, it's an overage at 0.0063. Color 1,072 at 0.0042. and we don't go through that many copies.
Gotcha, so that overage is
Yeah, and then toner.
a fraction of a penny per copy.
Right.
Gotcha.
So the total to buy the copier for 5 years, then we do the $1,900 buyout, $17,320.
Yes.
What about you, Scott? You got a fancy copier at your place?
Now I've got a dinosaur.
As long as you change the ink regularly and every day, right?
You know what, I think that's like only probably, I think the ones downstairs is 13 grand. So you're only talking 4,000 in 9 years. By my head, I think it was 13,000 downstairs. Could be wrong. You don't have that, we don't have no idea. You have to back up and look what we paid for one upstairs. It doesn't really matter, it's wore out, it's old.
I was gonna say, I mean, at 60 months, it almost seems advantageous. I'm normally a big proponent of owning things, not leasing things,
No.
but, I mean, it seems like for us to get 9 years out of a copier was luck.
And it did a lot. I've watched it do a lot.
I mean, I'm sure a unit that's 10 years newer may easily reach that 9-year mark with less hassle, but
So I went downstairs, was crying today when I printed these packets.
I think there's something to be said about, you know, we're a small office and I don't think we necessarily have the bandwidth to have ownership and be responsible for maintenance and doing it all ourselves.
You did feel like something was available or anything like that, and if we can
He
something
made it
that's
sound like even,
within a month or
yeah,
something.
see when he emailed me today, he's like, so, update, I was like, yeah, for the meeting tonight.
I get to do all this and then it takes a while. What do you
Yeah, what do
think?
you wanna say?
Are you-
You're turning red over there.
Yeah, did you stumble on this a lot, Josh? I mean, copy?
I mean, our copier we have in our office, we lease, and then we just bought it out. Like after, I think 3 years of the lease, we just bought it. I paid like $4 grand for it. So,
So this does that little solid, this is colored, like all.
and then we just do, after we did that, it was like $75 a month for them to continue the maintenance agreement on it. So, I mean, it substantially goes down if you own it. I'm not usually a huge fan of Canon, but one thing I probably would ask him would be the higher end copy machine printers got absolutely destroyed by the chip shortage, and they started getting very, very cheap with everything. But last time we did a quote on a higher end, it was like almost 6 months out. So I would probably, that'd be my suggestion, I'd probably check to make sure they have them and what the turn time is, because you don't want them into a contract and then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, it's gonna be 6 months before you're gonna have one.
Right.
So, I mean, we do a lot of work with Applied Imaging and Brady's. I haven't really had very good success with Canon directly, but that's, you know, very few people spend the kind of money that Canon, like, asks for. So that's why we don't see it very, very often. Usually Applied and Brady's is significantly cheaper.
You say what they're looking for. Just come get it. The old is like zero. We're gonna take it away.
I mean, would it be worth price shopping and
Yeah.
seeing what else is out there?
I haven't looked around, and nobody's come back to me with anything yet.
Okay.
Well, how about if we table this until we get
We'll
something?
do it for the next week, because I know. it's
Josh,
not
you got a
gonna
number for the
last very
other
much
company?
longer.
company?
Yeah, I can
We got
adjust it with, I got the rep numbers and stuff, so, like I said, it's worth taking a look at.
I know you guys need a printer, but that just seems like a lot of money.
17 grand?
Yeah.
I'd like to see
Over
some other
17
options.
How much do you guys print,
Try
like a
other
month?
brands.
How much do we print a month?
Yeah,
Something like that.
3,500 a month.
okay, so that's, I mean, that's typical small business, which, I mean, you can buy, it's basically a colored laser, that's like kind of it's not the full humongous copier, but it's like the next level down, and usually you can get those for like $1,500 to $1,700. And those are 5,000 copies a month yield, is their usage. So, I mean, that's another, things, I mean, it's just like, what you pretty much have downstairs is pretty much what that is. So, do you guys use the staple feature and all that stuff?
I do,
Okay.
I was using it for the packets, but I've been working parts, I do for other things.
Yeah. So like I said, cans make really good machines. Obviously you guys got 9 years of them downstairs, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So, usually that's, when we have a Rico, and it's funny because ours, currently in our offices, they no longer would do the maintenance on anymore. Like, we can't even get parts for that thing, so when it dies, it dies.
Yeah.
And so we've just been riding that wave.
Okay. Thank you, yeah, get Justin to that number.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, maybe they're more expensive or whatever, but it's always worth checking, so.
I think so.
Okay, so we're agreed, we're gonna table these and.
Yep, we'll table the copier, get for more quotes. I mean, I know it's close, I was down there when Jamie's had a couple issues with it, I'm like, hey, we probably should get that around for the budget for 2023, 2024.
You guys are still under contract with that one though, right? So
No,
they're still
no, we're
doing
done.
maintenance.
No, just maintenance, just, he'll keep, we're done, but he'll
Yeah.
keep coming. But
Yeah, so you can still call them and they'll come and fix it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause ours right now takes, wastewater cartridges, and they don't know make those over,
Oh,
so they have to take them and clean them
yeah.
out.
Empty them out, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, special event. I recommend the council that we have this special event meant to the community picnic on June 9th, 2023, to block off part of Main Street and part of Grand River.
So moved.
Second.
I was confused on the Summit to Cherry on Grand River. That's wrong directions.
Summit to Cherry.
Summit and Cherry cross each other.
Oh, dear Lord, what is that one?
Clark.
Clark.
Yeah,
I was having a moment, so we'll change that to Clark.
alright, well, we're in discussion, so this needs to be Main
So to
Street
be
and.
Summit to Clark.
So you're closing Summit to Clark on Grand River?
And then this part of Maine, and then we're using that for, vendors, the parking lot over there.
Where's the detour gonna go?
I'm working on that.
Are we gonna do Granger Road to Grebe and then, back out or what?
Something like that. I'm looking at-
That would be the quickest.
Yeah,
It's better than doing Purdy Road.
Yeah.
That's something that the county's gonna have to be involved in.
but are these a lot trickier to drive on?
Right, I know, there's less trees and stuff on Grebe and Granger going that way, it's just the sign, but. So yeah, like the county's gonna have to help us block the road
Yeah,
off.
they're gonna have to put the detour out.
Cause last time we did the Jeep, we had them do it right there by turning down, go down Morris Farm Fair, and that was hard for everybody to do a detour in town, we should have backed them out of town, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing about if you detour through town, obviously it's a lot of traffic, especially if it's on a Friday, but.
Well, yeah, and then they get you, they know what you're doing.
Yeah, but then you get a lot of people that are like, oh, what's going on here? I'm gonna go check this out.
True.
Right, yeah.
That's usually how it works with the Jeep thing, is people will like, be like, oh, and then they'll like pull in park and then they'll come check it out.
There needs to be a sign at the detour
Yeah,
that, straight ahead for.
Detour this way, good times that way.
That's right. Exactly. Just what I was thinking.
Okay, so we got all that, we just need to do roll call, and we got that straight for the streets, and we'll still figure out how to block it off. Right?
I'll put that in contact company.
Okay, got it, okay, roll call.
Schulte,
Yes.
Schoenborg,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Okay, I'm assuming that's you, Jane, or Sam?
Yep.
Lights.
Yeah, so, a few weeks ago now at this point, there was some suspicious activity down at the end of Oak Street, down in the cul-de-sac. I guess there was an unmarked car at a residence claiming to be with the power utility company way beyond hours. I guess somebody said, hey, what are you doing? And they kind of took off, so clearly they weren't supposed to be there. Called the power company said, call the cops. The resident called county sheriff, and they actually, I'm told, never actually showed up. So that resident, including some others, have approached me about having additional lighting down at the end of the street there because there's no lights. I mean, if
Now,
people-
is there lights on Oak Street?
Yes, but not all the way down to the dead end or the cul-de-sac where this occurred.
And you think a street light is gonna deter that?
That's, it's what was requested of me to bring that to the council. They, people feel strongly, and admittedly, I live down there. And I agree, I think additional lighting would help, curb some of that behavior. I think it's a strong deterrent, because if people don't have their house lights on, it is pitch black back there. So what was initially proposed was having some sort of solar light put up, and I looked into that. I went down to Lights Plus down in Fowlerville, and rough cost on those. I mean, the solar lights, $1,000, then you need a post, that's another $1,000, then somebody has to install it, probably Shane. Then we're on the hook for maintenance, and as we know, the solar stuff doesn't work too well in winter here in Michigan. So what I did is I reached out to DTE to see what it would cost. And unfortunately, the closest street lamp that's there to the cul-de-sac is 270 feet, and the maximum distance they can put between street lamps is 200 feet. So they said, really, you would need 2 to have the street fully lit up. And when I spoke to the residents, they basically said, well, if you're not gonna do 2 lights, what's the point of doing anything? Because you're not really.
Okay, well, what about the other residents that live on streets that have no street lights? Are we gonna be on the hook then for that? They come to council and say, hey, we don't have a street light, you put 2 down on Oak Street.
They could.
I mean, we're gonna be lighting up the whole village.
Well, that's why we're a council, we get to vote on that.
Okay.
So it's a proposal that I'm bringing to the table. I mean, we can discuss it. I was actually quite surprised at how low the cost for DTE is to do this. So to install 2 posts, each with a 50-watt LED overhead street lamp, would be $2,088.13. They said roughly 90 days out to get those installed. And then, of course, there's operating costs, which comes out to be like, it was like $10 a month per lamp. It was pretty small compared to what we pay for electric for the whole village. It's what I got.
And they don't wanna put up any type of home security system? I mean, there's
people.
Rain, there's ADT, there's all kinds of home
Yeah,
security.
there's.
We have it.
Sure,
You know.
I mean, anybody is allowed to do that on their own property if they want. I mean, my personal opinion, for whatever it's worth, is cameras are really good at solving crimes, not preventing crimes.
If somebody wants to break into someone's home, whether there's a street lamp there or not, they're gonna do it.
I don't disagree.
You know, I mean, I've had my car broken into under the street light.
Sure.
It did not deter the crime.
What's your motion? What's the package say? You got a different price than what is up there, right?
It's,
Yeah.
so when you do the pricing part, make sure you put like, if you want to do the 1 or the 2, and then what the cost is, because that one I was 100% sure on.
Yeah, no, I understand where the confusion would come from, so.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the installation of streetlights on Oak Street not to exceed the cost of $2,088.13.
So,
Nope.
second, sorry.
Okay. Any discussion? So this they'll install it for $2,088.13, we should be all good, and then at that point, they'll just roll into our DTE electricity for the town of Orville, which is
Yep.
maybe $10 a month or whatever it used to be, when they have the LEDs, so.
Right, yeah, it's pretty low, it's like $10 or $12 a month, it was pretty
And I-
minimal.
I've lived through town of Orville, and there's not very many dark spots, when you break over the hill and you go down where Sam is, it gets dark. Even when we're plowing.
When you're plowing snow,
Early in
it's
the morning.
pitch black back there.
Yeah, like near 3 o'clock, it just gets
And
dark.
actually, you do have a little bit of trouble, that cul-de-sac is so small and you can't see anything, you know?
Yeah.
When you're plowing, the reverse lights are covered up with snow and salt and everything else, and you're trying to back around there and not take everybody's mailbox out. I actually backed into Norton Senior's tree out in front, trying to get turned around down in that cul-de-sac,
Yeah,
cause it's pitch black.
I mean, realistically, you gotta figure it is almost 300 feet to the nearest light.
Yeah.
It's a long stretch of road that's no light.
And I'm trying to see where you're talking down, where we're dark somewhere or something.
Yeah, could we table this until the next meeting? I
Yeah,
need
no,
to take a
we're
run
good.
over there.
We already did a motion, so we already
Okay,
did,
alright.
we did a
No,
motion
you're
in a
right.
second.
You're right.
We're in discussion, but we're in discussion. But the time I've been in the town of Lumberville, I know what he's talking about. Even if it was Norton or Sam, we have this breaks over the hill, it goes down there for the leaf pickup, which is not during nighttime, mainly salt. But when you break up over the hill, there's nothing else, it's dark. We're in the town of Lumberville, the other areas that Shane and I have been in, myself, we don't have any other dark alley, dark spots, even over by where Juntman is, Guy Juntman, he's lit.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, the town did a pretty good job, but failed over that corner, over by where that.
I don't think they ever expected it to go that far back.
And then the
Yeah,
extra.
that's exactly right, because where the street lighting ends, it used to be a 2-track until probably 15 years, 20 years ago.
Yeah, cause our water main doesn't even go all the way back to the back, it stops at
Right.
that hydrant, that's
And then they get the houses right.
where
so
it is
our
on
cul-de-sac's
the
too
other
small.
side of the cul-de-sac.
We didn't push back the houses right, so the cul-de-sac's.
I think setting the precedence isn't really that big of a worry because, you know, and again, from my perspective, growing up in Waterville, if there's other people that come and say, hey, like, our street's dark in this area, it would be just a better scenario anyway of starting to kind of get some lights figured out if people are legitimately having problems, because, I mean, not so much in the summer, because you know, curfews kind of hits before it gets too dark, but as it gets in the fall and stuff, if, you know, kids are walking around town and, you know, they don't have lights, you know, light the way and people see, I mean, that.
The lights are there, there might have to be another one put there to make it, the LEDs make it so much better.
Yeah, I mean, that's a factual thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
the other thing that I thought was is nice too with DTE is we're off the hook for maintenance. If they go out, something happens, it's DTE's light, not ours.
I mean, that might be something with, I know you guys already spent your ARPA funds, but that the cost savings for police, that might be another thing to readdress is kind of having DTE do their reevaluation. Cause at first, when they were gonna replace all the lights
Right.
throughout town with LED, it was, I mean, it was a large amount of money up front, but it was gonna pay for itself, I think your guys' payoff was like 6 years or something. It would pay for itself in the cost savings of electricity. So, I mean, that might be something that we look at too, cause that would
Yeah,
be,
I'm pretty sure the areas of our streets of the town of Lumberville, there's not one that isn't got the poles lit or spaced out at this time, other than there might be an old light that's not as bright. You're lit in the other areas. I'd be surprised.
And if there is a dark spot that we aren't aware of, I doubt that there's many. Again, the cost to install one light and one pole, if that were needed here or there, $1,300, you know,
Even down
for
by,
peace of mind of the residents and perhaps a little bit of security, I see no issue with that.
down by Chicks and Mount Lewis, that's lit down there, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right to the end.
Yeah, and I try to go through every week or so and try to find I've got one down by the Andersons.
They won't light.
And there's actually 2 of them. Half the time the light is on and the other half it's off, and the other one doesn't have a pole number on it, and I tied yellow caution tape around it, so they know which one it is, but they still won't come out and fix it, so I'm gonna have to go through and, I'll check that in the morning and see if I can get that, but I normally do a drive-through and try to keep, I mean, we're paying for the lights, they might as well be on.
Yep. How many houses Sam lists out?
The
One, two, 4, or 5?
5.
5 houses.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, 5 houses will be relit. Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Schulte,
Yes.
Showroom,
Yes,
Walter,
No.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Thank you. Now, with that said, then Sam, get your,
Yep. I'll reach out to Brandon with our DTE contact for municipalities, and I'll let him know that we want to proceed with option 2.
Okay.
And that'll fall along.
sound like a plan.
See if they wanna do anything for being picnic.
There you go.
DT for years has been saying that they would love to do something for us.
Oh.
So I asked them about that, or for obviously
The
the
G-
last week of September there,
Okay.
see if they would be willing to do something. So like I said, he always says that they've got, things that they would like to throw our way, so.
Right. Yeah, I'll have to ask him that.
Okay, cool. All right. So, help me out on this, Shane, on the other one, it says no may cause noxious weed enforcement for the month of May.
I think that's
Yep.
Sam's. A lot of communities do that. I drove through Ann Arbor last year, and they basically, for the pollination, for the health of the population of the bees, you don't mow your yard, in May. Only problem with that is some of it gets really out of hand.
That's when it's growing like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
To help the bees,
I mean, I
to
guess
help the
that's-
mosquitoes.
That's kind of the spirit of this, is it's to help with the pollinators, give them a head start into the season. I mean, it would actually help the farmers in the area, as they need their crops pollinated. It helps to have a healthy bee population. And really, this isn't a proposal to say, nobody in the village can mow their yard in May. It's for those who want to participate. We would basically put a pause on the noxious weed enforcement for the month of May for people who do want to participate. They can do so without fear of getting a code violation.
I have a list of facts about it.
Yep, yeah, I really appreciate you including that, because I missed my 5 o'clock deadline to do that.
Thank you for sticking to the deadline.
Yes.
So what happens when you have like a company that comes and sprays your yard and stuff? They spray, like I'm thinking like green
Right. Would imagine they wouldn't be participating
because they're spraying.
because they're spraying and,
Right, so it's
They have
okay
a lawn
that's
maintenance.
being sprayed, so it doesn't.
I personally don't have a problem with bees. I get bees all the time anyway, because I have flowers.
Yeah, there's bees in my place.
Right.
They're immune to my spray.
The flowering plants are a lot better than just,
Followed by the mosquitoes.
Or you've got a lot of
Because they're best
clover.
friends.
yeah.
Clover's good.
So we just need to recognize, and the people of the town where we need to understand if they decide not to mow the month of May and they want to participate with this.
Yeah, so I make a motion to put a pause on noxious weed enforcement for the month of May. And If we vote yes on it, I'd like to have Josh put out a blurb on Facebook to let people know that if they want to participate, they can do so without worry that they would get a code enforcement violation. And if people want to mow their lawns, they have, it's America, freedom, they can do that.
4 weeks.
Right.
It's, I don't care, but it's gonna be up to them to clean it up when it's done, and it's gonna be a lot of work for them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, it's all up to them, if they
In
make
my
that
household,
decision.
we try to do that, and I usually make it about 2 weeks before I'm like, I don't wanna have to break out the machete.
So there's a motion, and it doesn't have to be a second, or you can second, you just have so much time that goes by, and if nobody seconds it, then it falls apart.
I will second that.
Okay,
I think it's a good idea.
okay, there's a second, and then is there any more discussion? I only said that, Sam, because that happened to me, so.
No,
I didn't want anybody to think that they had to.
That's fine. I mean, to be honest, I don't anticipate that many people would participate. But I think if, it seems like this is something that's catching on, at least in the state of Michigan. I know Ann Arbor's doing this, Detroit's
Just to
doing
go green,
this.
too?
What's that?
Is it like environmentally healthy, go green? It's supposed to help the pollination.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, it helps the local bee population, the pollinators. There's even, I'll say, lawn enthusiasts who say that this is actually it helps the health of your lawn for the longevity of the season. Not really my,
It actually does, because the taller it grows, the deeper the roots go.
right.
And it's not, I mean, I would say, I mean, I think that, doesn't the library, don't they have a little seed bank out there? I think they did, planting a little patch of wildflowers would be just as good as not mowing your yard, but
Right.
it's, I don't care.
Yeah, I was just asking if this goes through and we post about it, just make it very clear, maybe even put it in the water letter that come June 1st, if your grass is knee high,
Gotcha.
it's a 1 month deal.
Roll call.
Schulte,
Yes.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Walter,
No.
Hitchcock.
No.
Motion failed.
Motion failed. More you want. Okay. So, that's that.
Did we receive any comments through Facebook that we need to address this evening? Before we adjourn?
Someone commenting on just council. Like, no one asking an actual question.
Okay.
Scott, were you able to look at the elevator contracts?
I have not got to
Oh,
that yet,
okay.
sorry.
I was just wondering.
I don't see what we have. Anything else that we missed? Let me know if they're gonna, on that John Deere, we should be getting at this week. I mean, that's benefit.
Oh,
They need to have that, that's kind of a necessity.
Oh, yeah. How much was that harness?
3,000?
something like that.
How much?
2,300 or something like that?
Oh, wow.
All right.
If that's a common failure point, did we buy two?
No, because I think that, I was actually looking, just now, there's a Case Backhoe in northern Ohio, pretty good price, and it's got the 4-in-1 bucket on it, and it's got everything on it, it's got, so.
You know, I didn't know the thing, well, there was one AS, but it probably didn't have the combination for the
No, it
extras.
didn't, it's still there.
That'd have been like, they tried to swap it for 20. You know,
Yeah.
20,000 for us, but it's just, we
We
gotta
gotta
have a
have
couple
something
little
that
tweaks
works.
on this John Deere, that just,
So I was gonna say, even if it costs 10, 15, 20 in a trade, the amount of money that we were spending on the deer, it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's a constant cost.
you know, sometimes you know, and you can't complain about the trucks, the 2 trucks, I mean, they lasted a really long
No
time.
time.
They did their job, it's just they're doing too much more of their job. You can't pick on them, but the John Deere, prior to this one, the one that was like a little Tonka forever and ever, that did its job, we couldn't believe that, and actually, maintenance wise, this new John Deere backhoe is somewhat failures compared to the old John Deere, how reliable it was.
Yeah.
And we just gotta get through this electric over hydraulic harness.
It's gotta go.
They came out from ASI and spent 3-4 hours there, and they just, like, not had a clue, they punched in a bunch of numbers, and
Yeah,
would it be different if we took the tractor up to them, the backhoe up to them to get them to push it?
no, because it's something that they gotta get right straight from John Deere manufacturing in Iowa, or where it's always wherever it's at.
Yeah, Peoria, Illinois. Peoria. Illinois.
Everything is hand to mouth now, nobody wants inventory sitting on the shelf.
Well, at that point, do we have anybody for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. We are now closed at 7:55.